Hi, I'm Garmbreak1, and this is Midgardia's Cool Crowdfunding Show. I'm here today with Shoko Sanchez and Victoria. How's it going?
Pretty good, you?
Pretty good, thank you.
Doing pretty well. So, you folks are here to talk about 12 Inner
Well,
Demons. Yeah.
yeah, that's how you pronounce it.
Uh-huh.
We've had people get confused over is it XII, is it 12, is it, but it's 12.
hmm
Yeah. So, 12 Inner Demons is a game that we currently have in Kickstarter. It's our first game as a studio, our studio being Witch and Craft Games. I'm the principal rules writer on it. Victoria here is the principal flavor writer. Our team lead, and our team has two other people, who would be Amelia, who's the principal artist and team head, and Ian, who's the secondary rules writer and general editor. Effectively, we don't. It's difficult when there's only four people. It's kind of hard to figure out distinct roles most of the time, or whatever we can figure out. 12 is a survival horror, what I would call a survival horror, uh, urban fantasy RPG about facing your own inner demons, both figurative and very, very literal. It's mostly a game based around being around a 3D10 system we've made. It's based on being very quick, easy to pick up, built for relatively shorter campaigns. Each campaign has a 12-day time limit within its own time setting, trying to keep up that tension. And other than that, it's meant to be fun, flexible, and possibly something good enough to be impactful to people. There's a lot you can do in a game about facing your fears.
Yeah, absolutely. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about the setting?
So setting wise, 12 is set in a kind of weird place. It's meant to be able to set it wherever you want, but within the world of 12, there are a few caveats, one of which being that demons are real. They aren't exactly the biblical things people mostly think of. They're more closer to, I suppose, the Greek daemon would be a close approximation, but they're predators. They're predators and parasites, kind of a extra dimensional figure. They only interact really with the people that they are feeding off of, and they feed off of fear, off of trauma, off of sadness, off of emotion mostly. For that end, the only real catch to that is that as they get older, as they get powerful, as they feed more, their taste gets a bit more refined, a bit harder to sate correctly. And the oldest of them, the most powerful, the what they are called archdemons, are so old and so strange that they need very specific kinds of food, and they are so different and powerful that they can't easily come and get it. They can't just walk. They can't just walk into the world and snatch someone off the street. That's where the players come in. So yeah, the players in this would be one of the players is a human target, someone who has the right cocktail of traumas and issues and problems to be something especially delicious for one of these archdemons. In order to come into the world, the archdemon needs a place to be, a place where they can actually make it there. So what they've done is take that person's traumas, their own internal issues, and anchored a ritual to them. They anchored seals to that person's traumas, and those seals begin a 12-day timer, slowly changing the environment around the player. End of that 12-day timer, the archdemon has enough of a presence in the world that it can walk right in and gobble you up. Game over. So the question then becomes, can you get rid of it can you get rid of those seals in those 12 days?
Nice.
Victoria, you're gonna.
Oh yeah. So I was also gonna say the like party that you make up can be made up of any combination of humans and demons, as long as you have at least one human character who is the like target, the one that the archdemon has its sights set on, and who will most definitely be eaten if they fail to
Mhm.
stop it. But you can also have other like secondary human characters that you play. Like that's the character that I'm playing in our playtest currently. Um, yeah, and they are someone that is not the direct target of the archdemon, but they are still affected by everything that's going on. They can still see everything that's going on. They're still like physically affected by it, even though everyone else around them is not.
Part of the effect of being of the archdemon happens to come in the form of them not being particularly careful about collateral. That's also a part of the reason why some of the demons in the party might want to join in. For as much as they are strange and predatory to humanity, they don't want to be lunch either. They don't want to have to deal with the problem either. So heading off at the pass might be a good plan. Or in some cases, working for that archdemon might be part of their plan instead.
Yeah. So you
That's
mentioned.
where
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
that's where a lot of your antagonists might come from in that case.
Yeah. So you mentioned that they don't really care about collateral damage, but also that the demons can't really be seen, like the archdemon's effects can't really be seen by anybody other than the person that they're hunting. Is
Well,
that
sort of. I'll put that as a sort of.
all right?
Demons as a whole are to everyone but their prey, to everyone but the people they are not directly affecting. They're incorporeal. They're they're for the most part invisible. The things they do can be seen if they put influence into the world, but they themselves aren't. The exception being if you have some form of magic, if you have something that is pointing them out there, or if and being part of the ritual, being part of this whole thing, automatically puts you in there. However, the thing is that that rings true both for minor demons, the kinds that the players will play, the kinds that the players might fight, and for the archdemon. And the archdemon's effects are much more widespread. So even though say the regular people in the city won't be able to see the archdemon approaching, or they won't be able to see the archdemon itself, they still know its approach. The effects are still there. In some cases, they might not notice. In some cases, it might not be particularly targeted. It might be just a strange thing not to note. But as the 12 days start finishing, invariably people will know. The question is, how much will they remember?
Sorry, go ahead, Victoria.
Yeah, so in addition, like you kind of touched on it, but as the 12 days progress, the kind of effects of like the archdemon's approach become more and more intense. Like each archdemon has a distinct number of kind of, apocalyptic signs foretelling their arrival. And we had this idea that that's where a lot of like mythology about them comes from. Like even if people don't necessarily remember or can like process what happened, it's like people will notice like the signs just get more and more intense as it progresses, and we have a few kind of preset archdemons for people to work with, or they can make their own, and each one has their own different things that happen as they get closer.
Right. So
each archdemon has a 12-day has a little 12-day calendar of here are the signs that occur as the days progress. Here's how you can work with them. Here's how they change.
Yeah, so at the start it might just be like there's an unusual number of storms or like whatever, and as you progress it's blood dripping down the subway walls, or like a giant tower sprouts out in the middle of the city, or
Very much. One of the particular ones is one of the ones that I've been using the playtest is the first one. That was just a foggy day out. It's just a regular kind of foggy day, and by the end of it, it's oh, the entire city is shrouded in fog at all times of the day, and there's the sound of trumpets playing through the streets and weird shadows as you look in the sun and
ominous air raid siren. Yeah, I got you. I can certainly see influence from a couple of video games here, which is cool.
I've had a little running blurb to myself of how I describe this game, and it's a little bit of Silent Hill, a little bit of Shin Megami Tensei, and a little bit of Psychonauts mixed together and served.
Yeah, specifically
because in the end, this is a game about your traumas. The demons are not plucking these from nowhere. The demons are not making all this stuff from nothing.
Right.
It's taking it from the players.
And specifically Persona, yeah. Yeah. That's
I would say there's a pretty big influence from some of the other Shin Megami Tensei games too, but that's just me being a big fan.
I hear you. Yeah, I need to play more Shin Megami Tensei. I've only beaten Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which makes me,
I mean, that's a long game. That's props to you for that in general.
Yeah, it's I beat the Switch version. It's not as good as Persona.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions is a weird game.
It has some ideas. I will put it that way. Also, your art, the art in this is fan-friggin-tastic, by the way.
That would be Amelia, who is unfortunately unable to make it here today just due to a lack of easily accessible camera and recording equipment. But
Right.
she's the project lead. She's the one who originally had the idea for the game, which originally was a comic book. Actually, it started as an old comic book that months later got retrofitted into the start of this. And she's the one who has done all the art for the game, which is a lot.
Well, please pass all my compliments about the art. It's wicked, and I can
Mm-hmm.
definitely see a very like distinct comic book influence there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And even just like playing with Amelia is really great, especially when she's the GM because she has like artwork for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like any sort of like monster that she comes up with, she'll like draw it out and like show it to us like as we're fighting it, or
There's a
even if
couple of
it's
those
not,
that have
yeah.
actually showed up in the rule book too. There's a couple of those
Mm-hmm.
that have been like, oh, we had this for a playtest, or we had this for a totally different game in a totally different system, and then it's been transformed into something that shows up in here as a major figure.
nice. That's super cool. Yeah, our other DM for our actual play stuff. She's an artist, and
Mm-hmm.
most of our maps are done by her. So
Ooh.
they're available on our Patreon. There's a link below, and that's really cool. It really adds to the experience. I my favorite is the possessed construction equipment.
As Amelia said in the past, low key best art in the book.
Yeah, it makes me think of Common Writer a
Mm,
little bit, and just like how you could play the damage from that off as like it's a construction machine that went haywire or something.
hmm Not only that, that's not just something that the enemy can do. That's something the players can do. We've had that in the current playtest as things that happen in our most recent text playtest. One of the players had stolen a boat, used a demon to possess the boat to drive it, used that boat to steal another boat, and then crash that boat into a third boat.
People do not
And then
like
we ended up
boats.
underwater.
Well,
Hmm
yeah, yeah,
as they do.
that's awesome.
Mm.
I hope it was progressively more like fancy boats as he went.
Kind of. I mean, a cargo ship to like private yacht kind of thing.
Nice. All right, so why don't you folks tell me a little bit about the mechanics?
So mechanically, 12 uses a 3D10 system that we've made. It's based on one of the big things that it originally came from another games system that Amelia had been working on with some friends that ended up not actually going through for a lot of reasons, but it had a 3D6 system that worked on a similar kind of setup, and we ended up co-opting it and turning it into this. It works in rolling 3 dice with a target number, say target number 7. You roll 3 dice. Anything you get above a 7, that's a success. The key here is that you'll never roll more than 5 dice ever, no matter what the roll, no matter what you're doing. It's just those, and there's no addition, subtraction. It's all built to be very quick and efficient and very easy to keep track of. You don't want anything slowing the game down, right?
Right.
Otherwise, it works on human characters and demon characters who all have their own powers or competences. Powers for demons, competences for humans. They give them abilities and things they can use as references. Some of these being things they use, say, in structured time or in combat. Others being things they can just use on their own or when situations require for them. Things give them little bonuses. Things give them, for example, say some characters, like a character might have a competence in mechanical engineering, which is a one of the tree's mechanics, and that might be useful in a fight where they need to say like break a piece with say the possessed construction equipment. They need to break something to stop it from running. Well, they can go and they can use their abilities, learn from that to make a test of it, or they can do those kind of things. But it might also be useful for just, oh, I need to hotwire this car, or oh, I need to fix this, an air conditioner, so that I can find the demon that's hiding in the vents as gas and blow it out.
It's a real
The idea is to
problem.
make a lot of flexibility, a lot of different options for players and demons, and to make it so that no matter what plan you have options to do that with your party. Different demons and different characters also have different backgrounds and different things they can do. Where a player's background can inform and reward the kind of style they want to play in. Effectively, and this gets into the way the days are structured. In this game, you have 12 days. Each day is broken into 4 time slots. Effectively, you have 48 of these actions or so before the game's over. If you are perfectly on pace, if everything's going perfectly right, your good pace should be about finishing all 6 seals in about 10 days. That's if everything goes perfect. And undoubtedly, it won't. Because a big factor of this game is that this game only really has one health value, one like statistic that is something you keep track of like that. For humans, it's called stress. For demons, it's called grip. In both cases, your ability to deal with the world and hold on to it. But what's important there is that you only regain so much every night, and you can spend it for very good effects. Spending stress, spending grip for magical powers, for doing impressive physical or mental feats, or just to grease your way through a situation. It's useful and easy, but you have to constantly balance the actual knowledge of how much can I spend, how much can I afford to spend, what if something happens.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
I do have one mechanical question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys try 3D12 during your playtesting?
We didn't, but the D12 does show up. The reason why is we wanted the D12 to be special. And if it was just 3D12, it wouldn't actually be that special. The D12 would just be being used all the time. Instead, the D12 shows up. So with those 3D10s, you have a thing called bonus die and malus die you can get. When you get a bonus die or a malus die, you add an extra die to the roll. But if it's bonus, you pick the top 3. If it's a malus, you pick the bottom 3. And you can have up to 2 bonus or 2 malus die on a roll based on situation, items, abilities, things like that. The catch here is that when you get to the highest rank of a competence, which there are 3 ranks of each, it replaces one of your bonus die with a D12. Importantly, however, no test can go above 10 in difficulty. So a D12 is a big statistical bonus for you. It always gives you a chance of winning even better than rolling that 1 in 10.
Nice. I like that. I'm glad that the D12 does come up.
Yep.
Victoria.
It came up actually kind of late in the design. Actually, we were like, wait a minute. This game's named 12. We should fix that.
Yeah, that was my first thought upon reading it. Just like, wonder why it's not 3D12. But there you go. Victoria, is there anything about the game you'd like to highlight? You got to hit the mute button.
Yeah. So I'm just really interested in games in general that deal with the kind of internal world of people. Kind of like things that are going on inside of them in their personal lives, their like hopes and fears and dreams kind of manifesting as a very real thing. So like, I studied film in school, and that was something that I was always interested in writing about. So this was a really cool opportunity for me to kind of like think about how that would translate into like a tabletop game, or any sort of like role-playing game, where you'd have to figure out what that would look like as like a physical creature or like an environment that like surrounds them or something like that. So this was really cool for me too.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's one of the things that makes this game really distinctive as opposed to your average urban fantasy, beat a monster to death with a baseball bat covered in pages from the Bible kind of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, that's a game all in itself.
Yep.
No, that does actually bring up a very interesting point to this, which is that with the seals, since your goal is getting rid of them, there's one thing that we do try to emphasize in the playtest, and that is emphasized in the book, but is something that people don't tend to really go for, which is that there's always a second option for dealing with these seals. They're rooted to your trauma, so there is the option, if you can just deal with the root of the problem, to ignore it entirely. Not that the demons will make it easy for you, not that your foes will try to make it something you can easily do, and not that it'll be easy to do at all. But there's always the option to risk your life or deal with it head on, as hard as that'd be.
Yeah, I'm not sure 12 days is quite enough for that.
That's why it's a pressure cooker situation, huh?
Yep, absolutely. I feel like this is itself a traumatic experience. So is there a chance of you getting hunted by demons again, playing off the trauma from a previous campaign?
Well, strangely, no, because the thing is that anchor point, that anchoring to the seals, works in both ways. They've anchored your trauma to the seal, but breaking the seal eases the trauma. And mechanically, that actually shows up with your traumas each give very powerful bonuses and flaws. They have their own little bonus to what they do in your situation that you've learned as a consequence of your trauma, but also a problem given by your trauma. Good example of that, say the phobia trauma, which gives you a very good bonus to getting away from anything from the source of your phobia, but gives you a very big penalty to having to deal with it directly. However, once you break the seal or deal with the root of the problem, you keep the bonus but get rid of the malice.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So it is
Um,
effectively because they've tied it to you. It's a little bit. There are a few things that are quite so effective as fighting to get rid of a problem as fighting the physical embodiment of your problem and getting rid of it.
Yeah, Victoria, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I was also going to add that another thing about demons that we came up with is that they have a very unique kind of perception field about them. Because, you know, if demons and archdemons were going around targeting people indiscriminately and they all like remembered that it happened, you know, they would be a lot less successful in what they do. Um, so they've kind of developed this thing where after those 12 days are done, people don't really like remember that it even happened. Like they might remember something bad happening, but you know they would rationalize it in their mind as just a really bad week or just something else happened.
And the thing
So
is, sometimes they do remember even just a little snippet, a little piece. And that's where a lot of within the setting of 12, that's where a lot of mythology comes from. Someone's encounter with a demon that they half remembered, half forgot, that blended into the future. Tales of monsters and dragons and things like that. And those are things that actually demons can pull on themselves. There are some upgrades for demons where they can call into an aspect of a more famous demon, of a demon of the past, and take on forms based on that.
Right, so they might take on like the aspect of a particular like yokai or a dragon or
Yes,
yeah.
of Dragon's one of them, where in particular gives the demon a horrifyingly effective fire attack. Where it's and that's actually one of the cool things with it. We've made the aspects so they're transformations. They're things that give the demon power. They're a thing that the demon can actively sink experience into to improve their game at the expense of possibly leveling up things later. But they also give the interesting factor of every demon is made so that they are fully customizable by the player, both in their abilities, but also in what they are. Every demon's different. They're made from the hopes and fears and dreams of humanity. Because of that, they're not exactly no two demons will be alike, save for very superficial things. Even the different types of demons are only loose categorizations. The horned demon might have a horn, yes, but never said what kind or where or how many or what anything else of its type is like. A similar thing even shows up in the playtest we've been running. I've thrown two different swarm demons at them, which is a type of greater demon, and they've both been wildly different, despite effectively having the same base rule set behind them. One being a swarm of nightmarish beetle creatures with single hands crawling out of their backs that trail acid on the walls, and the other being a kind of fish centaur demon skeleton, and the swarm eyeless rainbow coelacanths that fly around it, or coelacanth. You know, the fish.
Yeah. That's that's wonderful. Victoria, what's your favorite demon?
um, there's lesser demons and there's greater demons. There's the lesser demons that the players play as. There's like so many good ones. Wow, that Amelia came up with. Um, Probably there's a greater demon called the ritual demon, and they are the super like sorcerer magic user type demons who are not concerned with subtlety at all. like they will just rain death down from above on their targets, just anything they can think of. And I just love the theatrics of it because like I just imagine that so many of them are just like interested in like putting on a show and like you know not interested in being sneaky or anything. That's for other demons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's your like Mephistopheles from Ghost Rider or that kind of stuff. The big
Yeah.
showman kind of thing. Yeah, I dig
There's even
it.
a type of greater demon entirely based around that. The silver demon, whose whole deal is being charismatic, being a good talker, being the kind who the other demons might sabotage your building or sneak around and possess some people. These are the ones that will just call the cops on you. Fabricate some evidence, use their incorporeality to sneak some drugs into your house, and then call the FDA.
And it's a special kind of fear when you don't know if you can trust anybody around you, literally anybody. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Right, absolutely. That's horrifying. Um, is there anything else either of you would like to highlight about this game?
uh, I will say one thing I'd like to highlight just in terms of the ideas that we have a lot of very weird powers and abilities and ideas in there. My particular favorite demon out of the bunch is one of them. It's a playable demon type called the Sword Demon, whose entire thing is that it starts with very, very powerful physical abilities. It starts being able to affect the human world a lot more than everyone else, but it only can ever have one form, and that is a physical weapon that it cannot pick itself up. So you get here's your demonic sword. It's right here. It's fully sentient. It's very powerful, but someone needs to carry it, and that can be a player character.
yeah, we haven't had one of those in our game yet
Mm-hmm.
because it's
So, in fairness, that is not in the current open
yeah,
playtest.
I
But
know, but like
we
I really want to see how that would work in an
mhm.
actual game now.
Yeah, the current open playtest that we have is about half of the book, where we gave most of the easier to understand, more simplified demons for everyone to have fun with, and it's fully functional to play most of the game. It's got one of the 4 archdemons that we have pre-made in there. It's got about almost exactly half of the book. It's about 90 pages, and it's there for everyone to just try out. We've got it on our Kickstarter. We've got links to it up there. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
If I get a chance to play the full version, I'm playing the Sword Demon, just so you guys know.
Enjoy.
Please
Yep,
do.
It may end up refluffed as a haunted revolver, but we'll see.
that'll totally work. That's an ability you can give it. In
Beautiful.
fact, I think the build for that would be the projectile, and then probably one other power you can fit in there.
Yeah.
Hmm. But yeah, there's a lot of really fun, weird combinations that I found just in GMing the playtest too, where you can get some very strange abilities coming out of things, and in some cases, things where where contact with the players has completely surprised me in the weirdest ways. I
I'm
did not expect, say, one of our demons is playing a grinning demon, who they're very good at possession and trickery and practical jokes. They have fun with it, all smiles, even when they're killed. But our party's grinning demon had a particular, very interesting interaction where he used the ability to let him grow his an ability that lets him grow limbs to grab onto things as a vector for possessing. So he would shoot an arm across a room and use it to bite into somebody and then possess them from across it, and then use that to then fire another arm out to a different person and travel with it.
That's hell.
Hmm. A lot of it's been a lot of our goal has been things like that. It's just trying to make a game that has simple things so that no one gets bogged down in the rules or in the specifics, but enough flexibility and fun to make it so you can do pretty much anything. That you can have tons of fun with playing around with the powers and the demons, and in the process, dealing with a very interesting and different kind of game based on what your players want. That's actually something we're working on in the rulebook right now, setting it up so that there are the proper rules for all of the different options for what you want to do. Say the you don't want to investigate the seals and find where the problems are. Say your first instinct is, upon seeing it, is just to run away. Well, that's an option. There's rules for that. There's changes to how the game works. You'll still have to deal with everything, but who says running for your problems can't work for, about the hour or two that it does? Or say you want to go straight to the offensive, where you don't even want to. Say you don't want to hole up and investigate after single seals once. You just want to go. All right, fight me. Come on, do it. Bring it. Well, there's rules for that.
Excellent. Victoria, is there any aspect of the game that you'd like to highlight?
Well, even though, playing as a lesser demon is a whole lot of fun, I wish I had chosen a demon just so I could like try all those cool powers out. Um, I I think it's also really cool that you can kind of approach problem solving from the perspective of a human if you are playing as one. Um, I think it's really cool the amount of thought that Shoko and Amelia both put into the mechanics of playing as a human as well as playing as a demon, because they have, so many things they can be good at, and they kind of like have to think about how to approach a problem and solve it when everything around them is, firestorms and swarms and all that stuff. Um, so yeah, I would definitely encourage people to kind of like try a whole bunch of different roles. You can try a whole bunch of different powers, or you can, play as a human with normal skills and like normal life skills and
Mhm.
and see how that works.
It is entirely possible to run a campaign with literally nothing but humans. It'd be a very interesting one, and I actually highly recommend it. It'd probably end up with everyone kitting themselves out in as much magic items as they can carry and trying to and having to sneak around everything, which could be very fun in itself. But yeah, we've made the goal of having that kind of flexibility and that kind of fun.
Cool. Yeah, this looks really cool. Like the art is fantastic. The concept is it's the kind of thing that I think is really gonna, speak to people. And the fact that it's a set, 12-day kind of time frame,
Hmm.
it means that you don't have to like settle in for a 5-year D&D campaign
Hmm.
as much as
It's
I
nice,
adore.
it's pretty short, and then that shortness means you have a lot more time to say, we finished a campaign, want to do another one and try some other stuff, or want to do one and we try this kind of thing, that kind of thing. It's trying to be nice and fun like that.
Right.
And demons are immortal, so there's nothing that says like even when you finish their like current campaign, like there's nothing that says they can't show up, make a cameo, or even be in the party again.
Hmm.
At a later archdemon approach.
Not only that, there's even one of the backgrounds for a lesser demon is becoming an archdemon themselves. So who knows how that might shape up a few decades down the line.
Oh, I love it. All right. So, as it was recording, the project ends on August 31st.
Hmm.
It's what, the 12th now. That's like, yeah, 18 days. You guys are about a third of the way to the goal, as well within achievable.
Hmm.
Uh, and
We're hoping to get so.
yeah, I mean, me too. Then I can play the game. Please back it so I can play a sword demon. I just want to be a sword. Um, yeah, and estimated delivery is November 2020. That's not bad.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, this game looks really cool. I have no other idea how to phrase it. um, yeah. Anything else you folks would like to bring up before we call today?
Um, I think again, just a shout out to Amelia and Ian, the other two members of our team. Amelia in particular, who's the whole reason this game happened and the one who keeps making it run. And shout outs to our playtest group. They've been great. Shout outs to Penny for a Tale. I actually did a live stream of the game to help play them through last night. So if people want to go check out that, they've got a channel that they've uploaded on. I think they've got a YouTube. I think it's uploaded on their YouTube yet, or it might just be on their Twitch. I don't know. But yeah, give them a look if you want to see that. And thank you to all the backers who've backed so far. You guys are what makes this work.
Yes, thank you all very much.
All right. Well, thank both of you for coming on. This has been a
Thank
ton of
you
fun.
for having us.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
I love having weird indie game creators here. It's wonderful. There's a whole wide world of RPGs out there that don't have names that aren't D&D. I was gonna try and think of a more eloquent way to say that, but nope, not enough caffeine yet. All right, so yeah, I think that about wraps up the interview. And for everybody watching at home,
Alrighty.
have a good night.
Thank you.
See
Have
you.
a good night. Thanks.